Welcome to the Senior Activities. We have a very special guest today, two guests today, talking about a very important topic to seniors, and that is frauds and scams. And I am unfortunately, and I know my mother, she was this close to getting sucked into a fraud, but it's the worst. I don't know if you guys agree. It's the worst thing is to prey on people who don't know technology, and you know, it's a terrible thing. And hopefully, and when it happens, it's also equally terrible. Erin said we have only 2 cases reported in Westport for this year, reported to the police, so there could be more out there. So we have Heather Cherry today. She's an assistant U.S. attorney in the criminal division for the District of Connecticut. She received her JD from Yale Law School and holds degrees from the Harvard University School of Business and Wellesley College. And Detective Shaw is a member of the Southwest Regional Emergency Response Team as a crisis negotiator. And you are also a certified traffic crash investigator. Yep, and she is a detective with our police department. So they're going to be talking today. And also there's a handout for you that we got from Jewish Family Services with some phone numbers that could be useful. And I'm going to turn the program all over to Heather and to Erin. Thank you for coming.
So thank you very much for being here today. I will be quite honest, I haven't done this presentation in quite a while because of COVID, so please bear with me. But also the point of this is to sort of educate you all and then have you educate the people that you know that are in the community that are in here today. So if at any point you have questions or you want to talk about something else, like let me know, just raise your hand, or on Zoom, I think there's a hand raising thing there. Just let me know, because the whole point of today is really for you, not so I can get through some presentation that I've given before. One thing, just so you all know, is I'm actually a resident of Westport. I've lived here since 2006. First up in the Polytown area, and now I live actually by Campo. I have 2 kids. And so, you know, this was really important for me to come to the Westport Senior Center. I know it's a big center and you guys are very involved, but, you know, Westport's my home. And so I wanted to come here in particular. The big thing about these kinds of frauds is that once they happen, especially because most of them happen online and through the computer, they're very, very difficult to prosecute. And so the reason why I make these types of presentations is because really the best line of defense is to educate the victims before they become victims. To talk about, you know, these are the things that you should look for and be aware of so that you don't get taken advantage of. And I really think it's no different than, I don't know how, if you guys read like Dan Woog 06880 or some of the other local papers or any of the Westport Facebook groups, but all I hear about now in the community is cars being stolen. Cars being stolen, cars being stolen. And the best, everyone, right, the advice that the police department has given and that you'll see on these websites is lock your car, right? Like, it's great. Wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to lock our doors anymore? And we can leave our keys in the car, on the street or in our driveway, but we can't, right? So the advice we get is prepare yourself. Make sure that you are protected by doing the things that you can do ahead of time, right? Don't wait for your car. Yeah, your car might have some kind of GPS tracking thing, but you don't want to find it on the side of the road on its way to wherever 2 weeks later, right? You want to lock your door. And that's essentially the point of today's discussion. Lock your door against these fraudsters. So I'm going to tell you a story before we get started. So I pay the bills in my house. I mean, like my husband continues financially, but I mean, I like physically pay the bills, right? And I'm really bad at it. I actually don't know why it is my job, but I'm really bad at it. And I often forget, and I like get late notices. And there was a week I was super, super busy at work. And I hadn't kept track of the bills. I sort of knew in my head, gosh, I feel like I haven't really paid anything this month. I should probably do something about that. But I was super busy. And I get this phone call on my phone, and I really try not to answer phone numbers that I don't know. So I didn't answer it. And there was a voicemail. And honestly, normally I probably wouldn't even have spent that much time listening to the voicemail, but I have this thing on my phone where it sort of prints out, like you can read what the voicemail said. And so I saw it, and it said, it was from the gas company. I think it was the gas company. It could have been the electric company. I can't remember. And I was like, look, I probably didn't pay that bill, because it was like, you didn't pay your bill. You have to call us back at this number. And I look at my online banking, and sure enough, I hadn't paid the bill in like 2 months or a month. And I am starting to sweat. And I'm like, my husband's gonna kill me, because it says like if you don't pay your bill, right, it's your shut off notice. And I remember I was at work in a big conference room, and literally I was freaking out. So I called the number back. It's a random number, and it was a random voice. It wasn't a random person's voicemail, but it just basically went to voicemail. And I said, and this is like a year ago, and I've been the elder fraud coordinator for about 3 years. And I leave a message. My name is Heather Cherry. You just called me. I went online. I paid my bill. What do I do? Right? I'm like leaving information on. So they don't return the call. I think maybe 20 minutes passes by, and I'm getting more and more anxious. And I call the number again, the same number. I don't think, oh, let me look up the phone number for the electric company or whatever it was, call them direct. And someone answers, oh my God. They said, you might have paid it online, but our shut off guy is going to be there in about an hour. So what you need to do is drive down to a Walmart and wire us some money through RIA, which is like the Walmart pay system. Still, I'm like, okay, wait, what? Wait, I just paid, I don't understand. Can I go to my bank? Okay, he said, you can go to your bank and you can get a cashier's check and you can put it in the mail. So then I was a little confused, but I'm really more thinking how much my husband is going to be so mad at me when my electric goes off. Like, and also my kids, because Wi-Fi wasn't gonna work. I mean, I was like, oh, so I'm at work. So I'm like, okay. So I grab my stuff up and I go downstairs where the bank is. And then I'm thinking, wait, let me roll, I have this elevator ride downstairs. I'm online at this can't be right. Calm down for a second. Step back, think about this situation. Call the electric company. You do have an overdue payment, miss, but we would never call you and make you pay it that day. And we would certainly never send you to Walmart. And it all worked out. In fact, the guy called me back. He said, are you on your way to something, whatever. Then I started yelling at him and telling him that I was like a federal officer. But the point is that these tactics, right, are designed to get anybody, not just, people who are older. Literally, they are smart. These fraudsters are smart. They have no idea. They had no idea that I actually pay the bills and pay them late. They just have a bunch of phone numbers, right? And they just call a bunch of people. And it happened to work for me because they found a person who pays the bills and knew that her bill was late. And so they just connected to an emotion. And that's what happened. My emotions took over, and I no longer thought intuitively about this doesn't make sense. And so when something like this happens, when someone calls you or sends you an email that makes it seem like there's something urgent, you have to take care of this now, otherwise your bank account will close or your electric will go off, or who knows what, your grandson will, languish in prison. step back for a second and take a breath. Does this make sense? Because again, you all are the first line of defense against someone who is really good at what they do, right? Because if they weren't good at it, if it didn't work, they wouldn't spend so much time doing it, right? No one's gonna sit at home or abroad or wherever they're doing it from and get on the computer and try to, you know, scam people if they didn't get hits, right? They'd find something else to do, or they'd find some other way to do it, right? So that's why I try to share with you all types of scams that we're seeing, because when you learn about those types of scams, you're more aware when it could possibly happen to you, but also to just give you the tools and the you know, to have a discussion about it's okay when things sound urgent and dramatic to take a step back, take a breath, and think about, does this really make sense? Should I just call someone else? Should I just call the phone company or the bank or whatever directly? My grandson says, don't call mom, she'll kill me. I'm gonna call mom. So that's just my sort of like a little bit of words of wisdom and advice. Did you have anything else, Erin? So this is just a little bit of a background. Studies have shown somewhere, I mean, this is a pretty broad number, 2.7 to 6.6% of the elder population has been financially exploited. But honestly, the number is much higher, because what happens is people are embarrassed. Maybe I didn't lose that much. I lost $100. I lost $1,000. I'm not telling anyone. I'm not going to tell my kids, right? I tell my kids, you know, if my mom called me, quite honestly, and said, I think I you know, got scammed, I'd be nervous for her. I would probably try to do something with her that she would not enjoy. Like, obviously, you know, like, mom, do I need to worry about your finances? Should we talk about this? What else do I need to look at? Like things that my mom would be like, please leave me alone. I'm a grown adult. I don't need you. So my mom's not, you know, necessarily going to call me. Sorry. $2.9 billion, again, it's probably way higher. A lot of these scams are targeted to older people. I don't know if they're just not, I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why you all become easier targets. Maybe you're not thinking about it. There is a very large scam related to romance scams. And I think, you know, sometimes people in your population are widows or widowers and lonely and really just want to believe. Like, I would say, you know, sometimes when I talk to people, older people who have been scammed in these romance scams, and are you all familiar with romance scams? So, right, you're by yourself, you go on Match.com or some of these websites that are really targeted to an older population. You meet somebody, they ask you for money, they live abroad, they're working on this, they're working on that. Can you just, and you want to believe. I will speak to victims all the time, and I think deep down they knew that they were getting scammed, that it just couldn't be true. There's too many things along the road that happened. You know, the guy needed money to get to the US, but then he got stopped at the airport and he needed more money. And then he had to pay some taxes before he came back. And then he had to finish a business thing before he came on and on. I think they knew, but two things. One, I think at that point they felt so invested, right? It's so embarrassing. I already spent like $10,000. I gave this person $10,000. I'm so invested. I don't want to be embarrassed and have to admit, right, that it was a scam. And so, and then, so instead of sometimes just cutting it off, I think they want it, no, I want it to be real. He is, or she is filling a void that I have. I do have a loneliness void. And this person, for this money, is willing to get on the phone with me or communicate via email every day with me. So I have someone to talk to and to communicate with who will listen to me. And so I'm willing to make that trade-off. I think people rationalize it sometimes that way. I actually had a victim who was talking to someone on the phone basically for an hour every evening. And her daughter said to me, you know, my mom, she talks to this person, she tells them everything that's going on. She sort of enjoys it. Like, I think she knows that this person, she doesn't care. And so it's sort of like when you paid for like a 1-800 number, like a party line, right? Just for comfort. I think that sometimes happens. But obviously, if you're lonely, there are other outlets to try to fill that void. There are places like here, talk to your family, talk to other professionals, right? You don't need to send money abroad or in other places to find a companion. Population is growing. So, you know, I think I talked a little bit like, why are you all targets? One, right? That's where the money is. You have a huge, I don't know if you all do, but generally, right? There's lots of retirement money. There's, you know, your 401ks, your IRAs, there's money in your houses, right? Real estate has grown so much. And a lot of you all own homes. I have victims who literally own their home outright for years, had paid it down, put on a mortgage so that they can send money to, you know, their boyfriend or girlfriend. The retirement thing is not only that you have a lot of money, right? But that you're home. You answer the phone, right? For a long time, it was a little bit harder to get cell phone numbers. Now everyone spams your cell phone number too, but hey, the people who had actual phones in their house were usually older people. I haven't had a phone in my house, like a landline phone in my house for, I don't know, 7 years, maybe even longer. So people, and I know my mom, I was visiting my mom the other day in New Jersey and the house phone rang. And I thought, people still call you on that number? Like, that's a real thing, you know? And she still has literally the old big phone on the wall with a chalkboard and a space for a big fat yellow disc. So, you know, you answer, she picks it up, you answer the phone. You're also home, right? So someone comes by, knocks on your door, you answer it, you're home. I gotta work. Maybe other people have kids that they're taking care of. A lot of times you guys are home, you're accessible, right? That's really important. Can't scam someone that you can't contact. So just be cognizant of that fact when you're answering the phone or when you're answering your door. Who is that person, right? And like, just be careful.
We should have a company in duty, correct?
Oh, definitely. I mean, you can talk a little bit more about sort of what the rules are with knocking on the door. I don't even really know. I honestly, unless I know they're showing up, I'm just
the
like,
gas company. I see they got a badge that says.
Yeah, I mean, I would even, if they provide a number, call the number and see if it's legit, or look up your gas company if you have it on your refrigerator or your old bill. I mean, if they're really the gas company, they're gonna be willing to wait for you to make that call and verify who they are. And if not, then it's probably a scammer and.
Yeah. So, you know, I talked a little bit about this. There's so many ways financial abuse can happen through the mail, on the phone, on the computer, TV, and then in person, right? I mean, scammers are going to try to figure out every which way. So mailings, like a lot of times you've won the lottery or you won a prize. All you have to do, a fake charity, but all you have to do, you know, is send us $5 in the mail or $20, or it's usually send us $5, but if you send us $20 or $30, well, you'll be like double and triple enter, or you'll make even more money, right? And then just that money you're never going to see the potential lottery winnings, you know? And if you read the fine print, there's always fine print, right? So, oh, you didn't win the lottery. Your name's just on a list. Or we've seen mailing scams from, you know, you can buy this amulet and this amulet will will bring you good luck and health and well-being and riches. You may or may not get the amulet. Usually you don't even get the amulet. But, you know, or it's a psychic who's going to, here are your 5 lucky numbers for your next 3, you know, send me $30. And the letter's written to you, and it looks like a real letter. I mean, sometimes the printing and the technology is so good now, it's like, is that a real signature or is it a fake signature? Your name's on it, right? Because what these scammers do in the mass mailing business, they have your names, they buy them, you know, your data is all out there. I mean, I always tell my kids, like, your data is worth something. Don't just post on Instagram or you know, recklessly search the internet, because people are capturing everything you do, and that's valuable. So think about that, right? That's valuable. And so, you know, they want it for a reason. They're paying lots of money for it. So take care of it, right? It's yours. Take care of it. And make sure when you're giving it away, you understand the trade-offs that you're making. And so your name's on this list, and then they keep track of basically everything you do, right? Like with respect to the mailing. So you get a mailing from like a fake lottery kind of thing, and you say, it's kind of maybe seems legit. I'm gonna chance it. I'm gonna send $20 in the mail. They note that, and they basically sell your name to like 6 other mailing companies, because whoop, we got someone, we hooked them. And the statistics show that if you get scammed once, you often get scammed over and over and over. And I honestly see this with people who know that they were scammed. We have victims who we're talking to, and we're like, he's a fraud. That's not a real person. That is someone literally in Nigeria who is emailing you. And he is not 75, and he is not coming from Egypt. Like, he's not. And this person will say, okay, you think they've gotten it. And then like 3 weeks later, their child is calling us and saying, she's talking to a new person who now is in South America. So just be cognizant, be thoughtful. On the computer, you know, you're going to have a varied thing. You're going to have all these online romance scams. You're also going to have phishing scams, right? So I don't know if you all use email, but you check your email and now your text messages, and it's like, you have to click on this link. It looks real. It looks, I have a SunTrust bank account. Oh my God, I got to do this. You press on this thing, you put in all your personal information. When I get these kinds of emails, I often go to the bank, you know, I have Bank America. I go to the Bank America website, or I call Bank America. Or I go to the app, like I have the app, right? And I go to the actual app and see like, what's the issue? What do they need me to do? I don't click on these links, ever. Even if I think it's legit, why chance it, right? You get text messages, you can't really see, it looks like it's from FedEx, but then if you actually look closer, I got one yesterday, it's from FedEx, F-E-D-E-X. Right? They want me to click on the link, and I didn't do it, but who knows what information they're going to ask. Don't do it. Don't click on links and put in your information. If it's important enough, it's going to be somewhere on their website where you're going to be able to call them. You're going to get to the person that you need to get to give them the information. Tech support scams. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but sometimes you can get viruses or other kinds of messages, emails that basically you have a virus. You need to call this person or call this number and do X, Y, and Z. Okay. No, you have a virus on a computer, go to a reputable computer place. Do not call a random number that pops up when it says you have a virus. Because what happens is there's all these companies, right? You call them and they say, okay, you need to give me permission to get into your computer. And they actually, from abroad, from the United States, from next door, they can get into your computer, they can figure out what your IP address is, they can get into your computer, And then they can start searching. Let me see if I can find that person's bank password or bank account. Any information that's sort of like hidden in cookies and all behind the scenes in your computer that you don't even necessarily know is still there, they can get to it. And all of a sudden, when you realize it, your bank account's cleared out. That's one thing they do. The other thing they do is they just sell you like a monthly subscription to a virus software protection, whatever thing that you don't need. You should get virus software if you need it. I'm not saying that, but don't use the company that sort of popped randomly up when you got a virus pop up, because they're selling you a $20 per month garbage software, piece of software on a perpetual basis. And they're doing it, right, as part of a scam. This is just another example. Looks real, looks like Norton. I have Norton. Oh my God. Again, when things just randomly pop up in your computer, look for the alternate route to verify it. That's what we talked about. Romance scams, I mean, that is what we spend a lot of time on because a lot of money gets stolen through romance scams. It's amazing to me how much money people will wire or send through the mail. I've seen, you know, like I said, people who really believe it's love. And so just be cognizant of the fact, like think through it. Am I sure I want to do this? Make good decisions. Lottery scams, I know that I've seen that, a big one on Facebook. And what happens is they somehow like hack, you know, your friend's Facebook, right? So all of a sudden you get a message from your friend that says, I just won this, Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates lottery thing that he created. And I saw your name on the list. Here's the link, go check. You go, right? You press this link, you go, there's your name. Oh my God, what do I need to do? Right, your friend didn't win the lottery. Call your friend. Did you win the lottery? Right? So just be careful. Check, always check. Work from home scams. I mean, that's just, you know, they try to sign you up to basically funnel money through you. Always check. On the phone, like I talked about, right? I had a local utility company, but you'll often find the Social Security. Hey, this is the Social Security Administration. You want your Social Security insurance? We got a big problem. You got to send us $100. You got to send us okay. Social Security is never going to ask you for money. Never. Same thing. Medicare, be careful with your Medicaid and Medicare cards. Those are important. Like, don't give those out. Make sure you know what you're doing, right? IRS, that was a huge one. And also related to COVID and the PPP and all this, people calling and saying, you want this money, you need this money, you want your IRS refund. For your IRS refund, I need your Social Security number. I need, you know, your address. I need your date of birth. I need all this personal information so that you can get your IRS refund check. They may not even ask for money, but now you've just given away really important personal identifying information that they will then use for some other way, you know, in some other scam. IRS not going to call you, you know, and I know that these kinds of meetings and education is really helpful because a couple of years ago, this IRS scam was huge. And the IRS was like, uh-oh, we got to do something about it. They had radio commercials and ads and posters like, do not fall for this IRS scam. And you know what happened? Scammers weren't as successful. So they moved on to the next idea. Okay, well, you're not going to believe me about the IRS scam. I'm going to try to get your Medicare now. Or I'm going to try to get something through, you know, some other government agency. Grandparent scam comes up all the time. And I think it's something that works because it connects to you, like you have a reaction to it, you're nervous, oh my God, you know, I have to take care of my grandchild, right? So I think that's why it works. So that's what I was saying, like the scammer got me because it was urgency, right? And he connected with me and I happened to have not paid my bill. Same thing happens in this grandparent scam. Sometimes they have some fake kid, right? Grandma? Yeah, grandma, and you're like, and what do you say? You say, yes, the name of my grandchild, right? You give them information. So all of a sudden they're like, yes, it is Johnny, and I'm in jail. And you have, well, Eddie was Johnny. Don't tell my mom. Step back. I thought John was like with his mom today going to a soccer game. And I was like, oh, just think about it. Call the parent. Call if you don't want to call the parent. Call them. Where are you? Call the local police station. Call somebody. Jury duty scams. You know, you missed jury duty, or you didn't fill out some jury duty form. We need information from you. Anyone who's asking you for information over the phone, no, take a number, call them back. Then don't even use that number. It's federal jury scam. All right, I'm gonna Google federal courthouse. I'm gonna call their jury office. Telemarketers. I mean, again, now a lot of this is coming through cell phones, but if you guys have landlines, you know, not a lot of people do anymore. So there you go, you're targeted. And like I said, I don't ever pick up my phone my cell phone number if I don't know the number. Now there's sometimes it says like spam risk, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just a random number. And if they really need to talk to me and they know me, they'll leave me a voicemail. So don't pick up numbers you don't know. Just save yourself aggravation. TV and radio, in person we talked a little bit about already. So that's really it. That's sort of an overview. And like I said, I do this because education is so important. It's really once you know, so once if you are scammed, you know, call the Westport police, or you make a complaint with the FBI, it's really hard for us to get the money back. I'm not gonna lie. It's really hard for us to prosecute people, especially when they're not scams that are done face to face, right? These are scams that happen over the computer. Tracking someone down over the internet these days is really, really hard.
And they may not be in this country.
And even if we find them, they're most likely in some other country, and we're never gonna get them. Even if we are like, oh, I kind of think that it's this person, I know who this person is, it's very hard to get them. So the first line of defense is to not be a victim. So tell all your friends about this. You know, oh, I went to this thing at the Westport Senior Center. Like, are you making sure you're not a victim? Because that is really the best way to. So I don't know if you have questions. Yeah.
I had a scam with the bank, local bank, and they sent me to take 19,000, and then they hit me for the big money. I had to go to the bank right away and take care of it. We went to the WiFi, not one location. But I had to go with my financial advisor and direct the whole thing. And it also was 90 days to the
Yeah. So,
Can you
well,
repeat
I
the
mean,
question,
it wasn't a
Heather?
bank.
Heather, can you repeat the question?
Oh, yeah. So and someone else was going into your bank account. Yeah. So basically, this woman, and I apologize, I don't know your name, but she is talking about a scam that happened to her where someone actually got her bank account information, right? And so what can happen is that there are these, it's amazing. I cannot believe this is a thing, but there are companies that essentially will create checks, and you can give companies permission, right, to withdraw from your bank account. And there are third parties that will create these checks with your bank account number on it, or basically do it through wire transfers. And so if a scammer gets your bank account number and some other information, sometimes what they try to do is take out money from your bank. And this is what happened with this woman. And they start small, right? Let me test the waters. She's gonna take a little bit out here, a little bit out there, and then she doesn't pay attention. She doesn't review her bank account statement every week. Bang, gonna go for the big whales, right? So be careful. check your statements. You know, banks also are often, they have an obligation actually to basically protect their clients. And so they will look and see if there are odd either deposits or debits. But, you know, you should be looking at your finances as well, because they're not going to catch everything. And I would also say that if you, I mean, one of the things that happens, which is amazing to me, is someone seems to be getting scammed. They'll go to the bank and they'll say, I have to take out $9,999 in cash, right? Because $10,000 is a threshold for the IRS. I got to take out this money in cash. And the bank's like, "No, you're being scammed." No, I'm not. I'm not being scammed. You don't want to do it, I'm going to go to another bank. Listen to people around you. They're just trying to help.
This is about phones. I don't know if it's on track. I get notice from anywhere from 3 to 5 times a day. It's 3 to 5 times. It says spam like, and I just delete it.
Yeah.
Doesn't take your answer, decline it. My question was, if I decline it, I used to bring itself down, it goes away, and then it'll come back again from another state. If I decline it immediately, does that give them a signal that like this is a good number, we should keep hitting this number? Like, what are they doing in that?
Yeah, you know, I don't really know. I mean, maybe like if you pick it up, they know at least, they probably keep track that at least it's a real number versus a number that's out of service. So that's potential. I mean, I know on my phone, I just have a spam risk thing where it's silent. Like I don't, it just goes to some, I don't know what happens. It doesn't even ring.
Yeah, no, I have a scam sign. It just comes through like a phone call. It
Oh,
just says scam like
yeah.
decline.
I mean, I would just ignore it. I don't even know if I would decline it. I would just ignore it and leave it. But I don't, you know, I'm sorry, I don't really know the answer to how they're using that data. But I am always like, okay, whatever I do, they're going to collect either way. So I'll just ignore it and see what happens.
I just emailed this morning.
Yeah.
Right up top, it says Federal Reserve.
Yeah. So, right. So Jerome Powell, this man has shown me this email that he received. And it's from Jerome Powell, who's the Fed Reserve Chairman. And I'm pretty sure he is not emailing this man from his personal Gmail account. I mean, that's my guess, right? So it's good. You like saw this and thought, this can't be real.
Yeah, high up guy, so maybe you know.
So he's thinking it can't be real. And then when you read it, this is great. Look at all this information I need. I need your name. I need your home address, your telephone number, your ID card or your passport number. Look, and look, oh my God, I have all this money I want to give you. I want to give you $10 million, right? So this is great. You saw this and thought, this is not real. I hope you thought this. So, but you didn't know. Yeah, so I hope you thought this is not real, and I don't know the response to it. But that's exactly the kind of thing that you have to be careful of when something just seems true. Exactly, that's exactly what I was going to say. Too good to be true, right? $10.5 million. I mean, and you can see how they have moved on from "I am a prince in Nigeria" scam, right? Because everybody knows there's no princes in Nigeria giving away money anymore. And so they've moved on to other names and stories. And so Jerome Powell, that's a legit guy. I mean, I know he really exists, right? So I don't know. And then like a Gmail account, maybe it's his personal Gmail account. Just be careful. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask the first question. The change in insurance and state features. I got a case yesterday saying it's sign up for feature data. There's a paper, you have to keep the social security number. Is that something I can do?
So this woman just said she received some stuff in the mail. Was it in the mail you got it?
I got it in the mail.
Right.
And it's saying if I want to bet and add it, to fill it out and write my social security number.
Right, and so she has to fill out this form and write her social security number on it. So I think there's a couple things. One, you know, is it something you're expecting, right? Like sometimes, like my insurance, I have a babysitter and I have to pay taxes on her and I have to fill out some forms and I know yearly I have some stuff I need to do. I'm gonna get those forms, I'm gonna have to put my social security number on them, I'm gonna have to send it out. So is it something you were expecting? Then I would look at, well, who am I sending this to? Am I sending it to like the legitimate address, like Google? Is this who I have my insurance with for? Is this the address that I usually send my insurance check in? And so, and then if you still are not sure or uncomfortable, you just call your insurance company. Well, so, I mean, I would either keep calling or see if there's an email. Sometimes they have, on the website, they'll have an email if you have to ask questions. But, you know, it's finding from different angles if it's legitimate. Like I said, if it's your insurance company and it's the same place you send your insurance, you know, check to renew your insurance every year, well, then it's probably legitimate, right? So you just have to take cues, take a step back and sort of look around. Does this make sense? You're welcome. Is there anything else?
Aaron, want to add?
Yes.
I'm happy to share the cases that we've seen this year. So I looked for the year of 2021, 65 and older of any scams that we've had, and we only have 2, but I'm not convinced that's it. I agree with Heather that it's probably, there have been some who've been too embarrassed to report. I encourage you, if you do what we can to investigate it. It does usually end up going out of country, but sometimes we get lucky and find somebody in a local town that we can follow up on. So the first case we had was exactly what happened to Heather. It was an Eversource company. A resident here just got through with a surgery, got home, got a phone call. Eversource, we're going to shut your power off. But, you know, she felt vulnerable. They can't shut my power off after I had the surgery. Called back. They asked her to, through the Zelle application on most credit card accounts, they asked her to wire it to a random name, a Nicole Rodriguez. Nicole Rodriguez is not asking you for your Eversource check. Unfortunately, the Zelle money was sent through the app and got a call back and said, oh, we didn't receive it, send it again. And in the end, it ended up being a little over $1,000. I also want to let you know that this happened within a course of a couple weeks, and it happened to 2 other people in their 30s. So it can happen to anybody. And one person, 38 years old, sent over $3,500. So that was one of our scams. I'll let you know this is how hard it is. I wrote a search warrant for that Zelle account, comes back to like a Google account or a Gmail account that's since been canceled, and it goes down a trap that I can't figure it out. So I can't even get it to a prosecutor. The second one was a little trickier, so I just want you to be aware. A woman got the virus up on her computer and clicked on it, and it said, you have a bad virus, go and get a gift card, send it from Walgreens, send it to me. And so she sent the gift card for a certain amount. Then the same fraudulent person called pretending to be her bank and saying, that gift card you sent, your bank account got hacked. That was a hacker with a virus. You've got to take out all your cash and send it overnight to this account or this place in Rhode Island. So thousands and thousands of dollars were withdrawn. They told her to wrap it in a magazine and send it to an address in Rhode Island. So what happens in Rhode Island is there's people who are hired, whether they know they're doing it or not, to pick up the package. It'll be an Airbnb or something that's just an overnight. They'll know it'll be an overnight delivery, and it'll be there the next day. And they'll stay at this Airbnb and wait there and take the package and bring it to a bigger scammer, whoever they're picking up. So just be aware of that. And the last thing I want to say is we aren't too busy to help you out. If we are, they'll let you know and they'll get an officer to you. If it's just something like Heather said, to help you Google a number to see if an account is legit or to make phone calls with you, give us a call. We're not too busy.
Same for us.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you can call us, say, you know, this doesn't really sound right, and just use us as a sounding board. And then if we are like a little confused too, say, then we'll reach out to Aaron and say, well, this doesn't sound right. Or we'll, you know, if it's obvious to us that it's, don't do it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, don't hesitate to call. A lot of us are familiar with these scams already and can tell you. Same if somebody knocks on the door. If they're really the gas company, they'll wait. you can call us, we can come by, verify. If it's not the gas company, say, just stay on my porch, or I'm gonna make a phone call, be right with you. We'll come and show up and we'll help you verify. So don't hesitate to do that as well. And-
Also, maybe call get your bill out
Yep,
and call the gas company and say, hey, I've got somebody here, did you send someone?
Yes.
Will they- is that
yep,
work?
absolutely. No, if you
They'll
have a
say, no,
bill,
we're not sending anybody.
yeah, yep,
What's your address?
Yep.
Okay,
And
and you're calling the gas company that's on the bill, so you're talking to the gas company and saying, are you sending someone to my house? Because I've got someone here saying they're from, they would know, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, no,
Somebody
definitely. I
sends
think
stuff.
actually, at least one of my utility providers, I can't remember which one, I have alerts actually. So when they are having somebody in the area, they alert me and let me know. Somebody is gonna be in your area working on your gas or whatever it was, I can't remember which one. So that may be something worthwhile looking into.
I'll just mention one more thing. If you feel like you have answered a question, I actually like to answer the calls. For me, I wouldn't recommend it, but I learn more because I learn about whatever they're trying to scam. So somebody called me and told me I was going to be arrested because of some social security or tax thing. I was like, all right. So they said, what's your name? I said, Martha Washington. Clearly no knowledge of American history. I proceeded to say, oh no, is my husband George going to get arrested? They asked me my address. I said 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And when I gave them the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 social security number, they swore at me and hung. So I wouldn't recommend that, but if you feel like you answer questions and then you're questioning, you can maybe throw a curveball and ask.
My husband had one the other day, and they said, oh, he's something about an account, and he said, well, oh, your account's in arrears. I said, well, tell me what, he asked them what the account number was, and they couldn't tell him what the account number was, so. Where can I call you back?
Right.
Because there's never a callback.
Yep.
Usually.
Right, or they will. I mean, like I said, when I got, maybe it was Eversource, like they left the number and I called it back. And I mean, that should have been the first time when it wasn't like a legitimate operator answered the phone. But again, they hooked onto my emotional state, which is how they are so successful. But finally, I actually Googled and called the real Eversource and then spoke to the woman and was like, I got this call. She's like, that does not make sense. So, you can always, if they give you the number, always Google and compare the two numbers and see if they're right, or just call what is on the website and be like, I got this call.
And a lot of times with these fake numbers, if you Google the number, it'll immediately come up, this is a spam call, this is a scam, because people will report the number the same
Oh,
number
so you can
already.
do reverse lookup?
Mhm.
Yeah. You know about that? Reverse lookup? You can go online, you want to tell them how to reverse it?
It's a reverse lookup. It's gosh, what is it? I think it's called. There is like even a white page, yellow pages reverse lookup that you can, and you can enter the number, and people will already have reported that number as a scam number. So even if
So
you
like
just
if you
Google-
want to know who called you, you can put that phone number in, and it might say, the friend, it may come up as your friend's number and say, oh, okay, that's who called me, or it may come up and say, that's a scam number.
Yeah, or like it will show you like one of the first choices in your sort of return when you go search for that phone number on Google, it will be like a scam website. I mean, and you can see like all these people complaining about this particular number. Yeah.
And we keep getting all these phone calls, it's like all day, and then sometimes it's the same number 3 or 4 times a day, and it's terrible, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So she was just commenting on the fact that
I
she
mean, I
gets
don't look up.
a lot of-
It's TV, that's somebody I know, or the number I know.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
that she gets a lot, a lot of scam phone numbers call her cell that she doesn't know, and they do it because it works. And things that used to work, like knocking on your door or calling your landline or sending stuff in the mail, like people just first of all, this is cheaper than sending something in the mail, right? Sending something in the mail, you don't have to pay postage. And it's quicker. They get you, they hook you, they got the money a day. They don't have to wait for it to come back in the mail. So, it's just our way, it's our life.
What happened to do not call? Remember that?
Yeah, I don't really know. I just think I think in the end, it just didn't work.
It's probably
There's
overwhelmed.
and now there's just so many, right? There's so many other ways to get phone numbers. I mean, part of the problem is, right, like a lot of these phone numbers aren't typical, someone has a cell phone or a landline and they have to pay AT&T, or there are these crazy web companies, you basically can have phone numbers over the internet that you just can't trace. They're impossible to trace.
And then sometimes the town comes up and says Westport, Connecticut,
Yeah.
and they're not calling Westport, Connecticut.
No, they can spoof numbers, right? So the 203-227 or 341 or whatever our exchanges are. I used to be like, oh, and I'd always, is that my kid's school? Is that, and so, but now I realize, like, if it's my kid's school, they will leave a voicemail right away, and I will see it right away, and it will be fine if I just step back and wait 2 minutes.
I had like screen taken over, the screen would be blank, and they say, don't do anything. But he wants to screen back. I normally would do it, just shut it down, that's the end.
Yeah, so he was talking about sometimes he's on the computer and he has his screen taken over, shutting down, just disconnect the Wi-Fi, right? You can just turn off the Wi-Fi. Like they're not, if they're not in your computer, if they're not on Wi-Fi, there's nothing they can do about it. It's when there might be Wi-Fi, but shutting it down is a good idea. But be careful about what websites you are visiting and where you are going. That might lead to someone being able to, or a website being able to basically pop up and either actually or pretend to take over your computer. Just be careful. I don't go to websites, especially on my computer, that I'm not very familiar with. Sometimes I do it on my phone because I'm like, I don't know, maybe that's really stupid actually, but I just do. Like, I feel like they can't really get into everything on my phone, but maybe they can. I'm not, one thing I am not is a technology expert, so don't rely on me for technology advice.
One thing, I don't know if it makes sense, but I do this. I have 2 credit cards. I have 1 credit card I use on the internet to buy things, and I have a very low credit limit on it.
Yeah.
So, and that's the only credit card I use on the internet, and I keep a really low amount. Like, how you have your credit and won't let you charge anymore. So in case I get hacked. I mean, I don't know, that's my idea, but I don't know if that works or not.
I mean, look, it protects you because it's easy for you to see, like to review those accounts, and also what you were saying, it's a low limit. The other thing people do is they'll have more than one email address, right? They'll have an email address that they use for things that they buy online, for any basically accounts and things that they have to do online, not like their bank accounts and things they know about, but just like, I want to buy something on Amazon, or I want to buy something through Walmart, or I want to sign up for this newsletter. They sort of have like a separate email address for all those things, so that it just sort of can separate, because like when you sign up for those things, right, you're going to start to get spam. It's just the way I live, right? Like there's going to be some website that you really want, and you like forget to press the button that says like, do not use my email, or do not subscribe to this newsletter. And all of a sudden you're getting like a newsletter from everyone and their mother and their father and their boyfriends. And so, so sometimes what people do is sort of have like a separate email address so that they know, like, this is where the spam's gonna come. But I also know this is, an email that I feel comfortable giving out to people that I don't know, that I'm not familiar with. Obviously, your passwords and everything like that, your computer, you want to update and make sure that they're long, and write them down, but not like write them down where people will get them, write them down where people won't get them. Don't email them to yourself, that kind of thing. Just be careful with that, right? All this information is so valuable, and it's hard to take care of. I'm the worst. Passwords, I mean, I forget my work phone password, like 100 million things long, and if like the face thing doesn't work, like I'm upstairs at IT being like, what's my password again? So, I mean, I'm the worst, but just so do your best. Great, well, thank you, really, thank you so much, and please tell your friends, like have conversations about this, because again, that is how we will nip it into that.
Thank you. So you went to Harvard Graduate School, right?
I did go to Harvard Graduate School.
Harvard was a private school, you know what? I got the most proposal from the Harvard.
Oh, yeah?
the law schools and the PhD, and I married one.
Oh, yeah? Where did you, were you an undergrad student in Boston?
I basically didn't want to go to Ontario, but social.